thanks to Stuart Hameroff, I have been able to join towards the Science of Consciousness conference for since 2009, and I have seen one of the greatest minds of consciousness research in this entire period, and my experience have been very exciting. So there are great scientific mafias who want to be very popular. And this is the place where you will find amazing culture. A person says a problem is a difficult problem, and he becomes a world renowned scientist, a legend, just because he said, "This is awesome problem." You can never find it in any other research field. If you say this problem is a big problem, hard problem, and very difficult, little difficult, tiny difficult, and then you become famous. Every single researcher who comes to the conferences, any conference of consciousness, because consciousness conferences are like mafia led by certain individuals, and they control what would be said in that particular conferences. Just like molecular electronics, there are set of clusters of mafias in every research science field. It's all about politics. The famous paper in 1989 by John Archibald Wheeler in Eat from Beat, in one of the paragraphs towards the end of this paper, you will find he has written, particular theory becomes popular not because they are scientifically towards explaining more to nature. It is just because it is simple, it's catchy, and it's politically easy to create a statement that can catch the attention of common people. So that's what makes it. But that's why Hodgkin-Huxley is a simple equation. And after that 30 years, so many development has been made in neuroscience, and it has been shown that Hodgkin-Huxley cannot explain several fundamental features of a neuron firing, but those are never included in the mainstream science, even though papers were very good. Great scientists work on them. In the textbook, still we teach Hodgkin-Huxley because it's simple. Even if it doesn't represent reality, who cares about reality? It's all about politics and religion. So in consciousness, you will find researchers are saying absolutely contradictory to what they are assuming, and prove something totally different, orthogonally different, what they are assuming and what they want to prove. And then they are concluding something that has no relation on what their assumption was, what they wanted to prove, and go there. Think of integrated information theory. They say that non-computing. They have said it, non-computing. And if you go and look at their paper, and everywhere in the same paragraph, in the same lecture, they would say that it's non-computing, but if you calculate the information added at, you can measure and quantify consciousness. Wow. In one single paragraph, they can say completely diametrically different statements. They say that quantum, you can include it, as if you just add the quantum information, it becomes conscious. You add the information of all my atoms, you become conscious. There are even more dangerous people. They say that if you have some mathematical formulas, you become conscious. These people are even more dangerous than those people who proposed a Big Bang. Imagine, out of nothing, Big Bang gets created. Out of nothing. There was no, what was the initial condition? Who set the initial condition? Even though those concepts were there, Big Bang became one of the most popular proposals in the world. And it is the most disgraceful thing in the discourse of scientific advancement. Out of nothing, no condition, and nothing, and universe gets created, and you believe it. Those people who promoted it were the Christian missionaries or Islamists who think that God created the universe on a certain point of time. That helps their agenda. So they supported it. And you scientists never ask a question that this is the most ridiculous thing that you can say. This is not science, this is religion. This is just Abrahamism. Somebody comes and creates it. That's why the point is there. Before that, there was nothing. And then there were hundreds of papers, how in few minutes universe got created. You teach this to the kids. Did you tell them what is the assumptions? Has any scientist told them? So never say science is about asking the truth. You never ask the truth. You just find a catchy phrase, a big equation, and you support the catchy phrase. You never try to understand why it is happening and why it should not be happening. Of course, Roger Penrose did the right thing when he corrected and moved out of Big Bang. And 2011-12, he proposed the CCC, cyclic universe. So universe, or the whole universe picture is essential even before we say or make any statement about consciousness or origin of the universe. But who cares? Who cares? Nobody cares about how the science is being studied. Do you have a catchy phrase? Something simple, a catchy term? It's all about marketing. And that marketing started in the 1950s, 1960s, when people understood that if you do not have a catchy phrase, you can't. But it started, I would say, even in 19th century, in a materialistic society where geometrodynamics, it was very good proposal. I'm a big fan of Wheeler. He's my idol. However, in 1919, when he proposed geometrodynamics, he was inspired by Einstein's special theory of relativity, where geometric shape was, curvature of space was that time a big sensation, and people were extrapolating that particular concept in all possible directions, because people understood after 1915 that GTR is going to stay here for a long period of time, and that's why people started. What do you explain? Even the grand unification theory as it exists today, you have considered electromagnetic field as a fundamental of all fields, and this field will explain everything. Same religious dogmatism, same Abrahamism repeats every time. Origin of universe, same. Evolution theory. In the Nature article or Science article, you publish papers like one protein fights with another protein and another protein survives, survival of the fittest. So what you are doing, you are brainwashing the kids to believe in Abrahamism. That's it. You are not doing anything else. This is all dogmatic religion, and you call it mainstream science. So mainstream science is nothing but a blind religion. You see, it's a cult. Any scientist goes against it will be punished in every single possible way. He will be name called, he will be abused with abusive words, and every single way. No one gives the proper platform to the other scientists. Look at the proponents of IIT, integrated information theory for consciousness, or other theories of consciousness. When they write a Nature article, do they ever mention ORCOR? Why do they not mention it? Even though there are substantial number of people all over the world think about it, discuss about it, and they are the only proponent who proposed quantum version of consciousness. Quantum-like features are all around us, and one event is disappearing, and another event is appearing. There's no logic. And Roger Penrose was the first person in 1989 to admit it. Non-computing and non-computability. And suddenly this IIT proponents and others discovers that, okay, politically quantum is beneficial, but politically quantum is in the hype. They say integrated information theory also includes quantum. This is a disgraceful example of the non-scientific and religious thing. And Nature and Science like journals, they give them platform. Why? Because they are all about market. They're all about market. Which one goes in market, they become most popular. That's why I say that Memristor, it's a total hoax. It's never even close to fourth circuit element. It never shows relationship between charge variation with magnetic flux generation, which could lead to, by the way, if Nature would have supported, science would have supported, they could have forced mankind or scientists to really discover the correlation between charge and magnetic flux. A new technology could have arrived, but they didn't. They went on supporting the Hewlett Packard company and their agenda. They started promoting it and supporting it. So what will become mainstream is decided by top journals, and what they do is they carry out supporting the established mafias and their groups. How they become mafia? They become mafia by doing great work in their young film. So I'm not saying these are not great scientists. They are great scientists with great mind, great abilities. But what they do is nothing short of a religious bigotism and a cult that they introduce in science. So look at the integrated information theory papers or other papers done by this set of groups and a set of people. You will find systematically they bypass or quark, even though they know it. They say now quantum consciousness, which is absolute bogus, by the way, because quantum like features could be there. And if you want to understand, that's the problem. Quantum like features are there in the world. A set of variables are there which we observe. We feel I am Anirban. There are 3, 4, 5 Anirbans are there, and they are interacting inside me. So from one hardware, multiple structures have been created. Have we tried to explain this kind of features by trying to understand the transfer matrix between the two, the fundamentals of quantum mechanics? No, nobody is interested in that. People are interested in the catchy phrase. Earlier, right now, nowadays, if you are giving a TED talk, if you have quantum consciousness, you are banned, you are tagged, you are red flagged. But in 5 to 10 years, you will find that TED has removed that word because mainstream politicians have started doing that. So these are the organizations, several scientific organizations who claim that they are holding the spirit of consciousness, spirit of scientific valor. They are not keeping the spirit of scientific valor. They are protecting some sort of mafias and promoting marketing agendas. New marketing agendas are coming, and you are destroying the youth, destroying the kid, brainwashing the kid, stopping the other minds, and you are taking new form, new agendas year after year, and you are blocking. Otherwise, give them the equal platform. If you have that courage, come and do the fight. Intentionally, you do not cite particular set of work. You look at the paper of IIT published in the top journals where the reviews of very good neuroscientists, so-called neuroscientists, mafias are there. Systematically, one of the most popular theories, they isolate. They take those one whom they can find, and they adopt anything new that is coming to the market and then blending it with them and then doing it. So my question is to all scientists, if my proposition is also that if you do not create a self-operating automaton or a self-operating universe model, how universe by itself working, you are not doing science, you are doing cult. I think I am the only scientist in the world who have at least made an attempt to create self-operating mathematical universe model, SOMU. The reason is that I do not know how much I will succeed in my life in creating this model, perfecting this model. But I would like to tell young scientists to look at the work, SOMU, and its mathematical provisions, where I have tried to create how the cyclic universe could be created, not a simple arguments that have been put forth by other cyclic universe proponents since 1930, starting from Einstein and others. Many people have worked on cyclic universe, but cyclic is not important. Many cycles should be there and create a complex automaton that operates by itself. Once that is resolved, how it operates by itself, then how the properties are emerging. And after that, grand unification theory and theory of consciousness can come. That's why I avoid talking about consciousness, because unless until these two parts are clear to the scientific community or the humanity, you can't create. Neither you can create GUT, neither you can create that. So I have decided that without commenting on them, why not create self-operating mathematical universe, mathematical protocol? How does it do itself? So starting from a few assumptions that it non-existence, we have to generate all the fundamental constants of the universe, all the physics laws, all the symmetries of the universe. When we create all those symmetries and physics laws of the universe, only then there will be a time when we will be able to generate grand unification theory. So far, whatever that has been done in grand unification theory is a forced assumption, and expectation is more than the brutal truth, and nobody is interested in understanding the brutal truth, and that's the problem.